This is the magicwordpodcast.com.
We're now beginning on the fourth and final day of Magic Texas, and this kind of, and I've got Marcus Souza with me here again. We're going to Mark.
Good morning, Scott.
Reminds me, there was an old joke that Jay Marshall used to say when someone would say, "Well, where are you staying?" and he would say,
"Yeah, I don't need a room. It's only a 3-day convention."
Yeah. This, however, has been 4 full days plus the night before.
Exactly.
And
it feels like a long convention.
It does. It feels like a FISM in a way, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
And many reasons too. For that.
Yeah. And this one has been particularly action packed. I mean, again, like I said the other day, they purposely made it so you can't see everything. Mm-hmm. There are events running simultaneously, so you can't see everything. And so if you have FOMO, if you're missing out, you'd hate this convention.
Yeah, that's true. And I did have some people who had said that to me. Well, I wish they hadn't booked this opposite. Said, there's just so much to pack in. I mean,
exactly.
We're trying to have a FISM.
But it's like a real conference. I mean, if you go to any business conference, you have to pick and choose what the talks that you go to and everything. Plus, you got the dealer room. Plus, you got time to just hang with people and people you want to talk to. Yesterday, there was a lecture I wanted to see. I ended up just sitting down with Joey Cranford from the Chicago Magic Line. We spent an hour talking, and boy, that was like worth my whole trip here.
Yeah. Well, since you do have a business venture that's coming
exactly.
up.
Yeah.
That's going to be opening House of Magic Swin?
We're shooting to get the theater part open just after the first of the year, and then the rest of the space, the museum space, probably March, April.
Yeah. Well, as a real estate developer, you're on top of it. You know what you're doing.
I'm trying to, but this is a little different than what I normally do. So it's a challenge, but we're working through it.
Well, this convention has been fantastic, and I just talked to Mike Miller this morning briefly, and he said, "So what did you think of the show?" And I said, "Man," and he got a standing ovation. We're going to get into all this a little bit later, but oh my gosh. Okay, let's pick up where we left off yesterday.
So we left off yesterday talking about the Eric Chen lecture. Was phenomenal. Then was Shoma from Japan. It was, I hesitate to say, but, it was a kind of a dealer demo kind of lecture where, stuff that he's created that he shows how it works. And if you want to buy one, great. And if not, that's fine too. That's when I got in the conversation with Joey, so I didn't get to see the whole lecture. But, you go to his table, you basically can see the lecture. But very clever stuff. And the Rubik Cube thing he sells is really, really very, very good. One of the better versions. And after that was the stage competition, FISM NA stage. There were 6 competitors, each of them, very distinctive and different. We opened with Michael Nguyen, who did a very classic, I dare to say, Chavez style.
Chavez style is exactly what came to my mind as well.
Yeah, classical style billiard balls.
Nothing creative. It was just very straight magic, good magic, solid
and
magic.
Well done. Billiard balls, cards. There were some new techniques he had. That were, some more modern billiard ball type techniques, some of the multi-shell stuff.
Can I say, whenever that you're going to be in a contest, you have control of everything as far as what you're requesting, and that is you can ask for certain lighting or sound or music or something. And I was questioning whether or not that he had actually asked for that kind of lighting, because I was beginning to think, okay, is there going to be some thread work or something? And there wasn't.
Exactly, and this is one of the things that we're going to be really emphasizing, and I've always emphasized to anybody I'm coaching. You need to have 3 lighting designs to, your lighting design, which is your dream design, if you can actually get what you want, which is difficult because you have such limited tech time when you're doing these contexts. You need to have that mid-range where it's the general lighting that you're going to get at a convention, and then a lighting grid that's nothing.
Right.
Just turn on the lights and I'm going to work.
Right.
And you need to be able to adjust your material to do that. Here they had done some tech, but one of the competitors came in with some extra lights, and the other competitors said, "Oh, can I use those?" And that really threw the lighting grid off. That really threw the look off. So I think it was a combination of, look, in the first act, the tech guy was asleep. It was terrible. It was terrible.
I spoke with Artem Shukin last night, and he said, I'm hoping in the future that the competitors get the same kind of tech time and lighting and visual as we do when we are on the stage and performing as professionals.
And it can't happen. There's just not time in the day to do that. One of the things, I'm taking over as contest chairman next year, and I'm working closely with Keith and Sarah Fields, who are taking over IBM. And one of the things, that I said, we want to provide all the competitors with the lighting 30 days before the competition, so they know what they have access to. So they'll be able to have the look of what they want and work within that.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll,
But you look at an act, for example, referring back to Artem Shukin, where it's largely dependent upon the lighting for some of his effects.
So we're going to talk about this during the show.
Okay.
I have some very definitive things to say about that. But in the competition, look, here in the hotel, we don't have the same lights that they have at the theater.
No, good point.
Yeah,
but sometimes at contests we do have
sometimes
access
we
to
do.
theater. Not often, but usually it's a hotel.
Yeah, but this is
kind of got up
lighting. The lighting in here for the hotel theater is at best DJ lighting.
I just think that it hurt his act. The first guy, what was his name again?
Michael Nguyen.
Yeah, Michael.
And also the last act,
yes.
Gabe Lim. Horrible. I mean, it just destroyed his act. We'll get to that in a second. So the second guy, Roger Ruiz, Roger won IBM, and to me that was like one of the top acts. It's a very interesting premise. It is basically it's a video game premise. It's a Resident Evil, which I think also was a movie.
It was a series of movies, actually.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm not a Resident Evil guy.
Yeah.
So when I first saw the video of the act, I didn't know the reference, so I had to ask.
You're not the only one. I was talking with someone sitting next to me. Said, I don't get this. I said it was a video game. He said, okay, whatever.
So I've watched this act progress over the last 5 or 6 months, and amazing. And it's basically it's an umbrella and card act. But
a lot of parasols. I kind of got the feeling that when the stage is full of parasols, there's no place else for me to walk. I guess my act is over.
Yeah. I've always said, and Fukai, God bless him, and I have been friends for years.
Yeah.
I hate umbrella acts because
I'm with you, brother.
You know how they work.
Yeah.
Umbrellas fold.
And they open
fine.
up. Yeah.
To a point, you can say that with this act. Oh no, this goes way beyond that.
It did
there
go
were
beyond.
So many umbrellas.
He got bigger, different kinds of things that he did. I thought it was very interesting.
His techniques are phenomenal. He has come up with a lot of production and change techniques that are just absolutely astounding. His card work is breathtaking.
It was one after the other, and I agree. I don't know where they're all coming from.
Multiple fan productions from fronts and backs and single person. A lot of original techniques and great presentation.
Yeah.
Just very, very hot.
It's just that I think that the theme he selected was a niche thing that it may have been appreciated more by one group than another because others are wondering maybe what was going on.
And that was one of the things I questioned about when we first started talking to him. But I said, if you're making the commitment to do that, go all the way. And
he was all in on that, and I thought it went very well. But again, it might have been a sound thing because it was kind of garbled to begin with, in which they were talking about an apocalyptic world and vampires, etc.
But that again was the fault of the sound system and not him.
You can't blame the competitor. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So he's followed by Vinny Grasso. So Vinny originally wanted just to compete in invention, but I said, we'd said, but he's such a good performer. Why not,
highlight his personality.
Exactly. And he did essentially one effect. It was a book test, but with an original method and combining it with alphabet cards. Very clever premise, well performed, well done. I just thought, it was a good piece. It was a good piece. He was followed by Joe Marchese. Joe, I used to compete against Joe doing this act 40 years ago.
For that long? He's still doing it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So he had stopped doing it for a while. He had kind of dropped out of magic for a while and moved to Florida. And a few years ago, he contacted me and said, I'm getting back in. And he did basically the same act he did 40 years ago. And it's a watches and clocks theme act and had a lot of great ideas. So, it was nice to see Joe.
Yeah.
It was nice to see Joe.
What was the gentleman's name? And he was a winner also years ago. And finished with the grandfather clock.
No, you're talking about George Soterio.
George Soterio.
Yes, so George, that was a stage prop.
Yes.
That was, where he put his birds. And,
yeah.
That
was a beautiful act. I haven't seen him in years. I wonder what he's doing nowadays.
Working. He's working. He's not. He doesn't.
You didn't come to conventions or anything anymore.
Nope. But what a good act.
Yeah.
Good bird act. He was followed by the guy I pegged to win it all, which was Alex Ramon. Alex is a pro.
He is.
He is. I mean, this is the guy. He was the Zing master, for the Ringling Brothers Circus when he was in his early 20s.
Right.
He's got a residency,
Harvey's at South Lake High.
Exactly. He's such a pro. And he did the routine with his dog MJ, his cute blonde, and it was a lovely act. But I mean, just watching him, this guy is different than the others.
And he had done this act on Penn and Teller Fool Us, and he had fooled them, but he took it a little bit different. He had a little bit of variation.
Exactly. He made some variations of the thing. It was a good, solid act. And I don't want to tell you what it was.
No.
It's one of those things you need to see.
Yeah.
Last act was Gabe Lim, who I saw compete last year, and he's made a lot of improvements to the act, but the lighting killed him because he's doing a lot of billiard ball work, white balls changing to red balls, and with the red lights that were so predominant, you couldn't tell a red ball from a white ball. Yeah. And that really hurt him. And he's got some great technique stuff. He's got some very original stuff. But again, very classical style act with billiard balls and flowers, and finishes with a snowstorm and a blooming rose bush. Very pretty act, and I hope he keeps working on that. I hope we see him again in competition, because I think Gabe's got a lot of promise.
Following that, there was a panel discussion. It was hosted by Stan Allen, and I was part of that discussion, which we were talking about etiquette on the internet and the importance of making sure that not being a jerk, basically, and not posting things that are going to be detrimental to your potential future or your clients or whomever else. And also we talked about exposure on the internet. And we actually started with exposure, and that predominated most of the conversation.
A hot topic.
A very hot topic.
Yeah.
But not surprisingly, because it was back-to-back to the competition, it ran about a half hour late before anybody even showed up, number one. But number two is it was on the opposite side of where the theater was, and so we only had about 30 people there, basically. So I was very, very disappointing. I mean, it was a very interesting conversation, and I think everyone enjoyed it.
And there was another panel, and there was another discussion going on at the same time. Joel Zaritsky talking about ways to improve your assembly meetings, ideas for assembly meetings. So
again, one of those things when you had to choose, pick or choose, what are you going to be doing?
And it was like the last full day, and everybody's getting ready for the banquet, and there's just.
And then it was that. So then we got on the buses, and we didn't have to wait like as we did the night before, as far as in the lobby.
No, if you were able to escape, but the banquet.
I forgot about the banquet, of course.
Yeah, so the banquet, they had, the installation of officers.
Congratulations, by the way. You're the incoming vice president?
Second vice president.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're moving up the ladder.
Moving on up. Yeah, I'll be president in 27 as long as I don't do anything horrible. And
the House of Magic doesn't kill you.
Well, yeah. No, I'm hoping not. Got a lot of help for that, so that's good. And they did the TAOM installation of officers and the trading of the brand, as it were, which, man, that's going to set off the alarms at the airport. I wouldn't want to travel with that. I was kidding with John Sturck, with all the stuff you get as the outgoing officer. I said, you did bring an extra suitcase, didn't you? She says, oh, yeah. At least going in.
Well, I was talking to Michael Dunnigan, who's the national president, international president. Yeah, the IBM. And they've got a big necklace.
Chain of office.
Yeah. He said, there's no way I can check that through.
No. Oh, no, that does not go in checked baggage. That's.
So we had a very nice thing, and then also Gustav Raleigh.
Yeah, Gustav Raleigh. Gustavo Raleigh did the show at the end. Nice show.
It was.
Did a good job.
Including a shadowography.
Exactly. Finished with the shadowography. But I'll say his opening trick, the cocktail trick, which is based on Alan Wakeling's Liquid Sands from his book. I used that for a while. That's a great trick.
And he was teaching this in his lecture as well, I believe.
I don't think he taught that one in his lecture, but it's a dealer item.
Okay, it was a dealer item, which he was, pouring sugar out. I mean, you pour the.
Oh no, that's a different thing.
Okay.
No, this was the opening thing with the three bottles of different colored liquid.
Oh yes,
that he pours in the champagne bucket
yes,
with the glass, and then taking them out like sands of the desert.
Yes.
Very pretty trick.
It was
very
good.
pretty trick. I like that a lot. So yeah, Gustavo did a great job, but they're just trying to cram so much stuff in there when we're all worried about getting those buses and getting to that show.
Some people were bailing out early in order to get to the bus.
Exactly. And that does bring us to the show.
The show.
Mama. I got to tell you, I had 5 people say this to me, these words. That show made up for everything else that screwed up during this convention. I mean, there were little issues that happened during the convention, but there was just little things that just ticked people off. And One of them being the tech in the hotel here. It's just, but it is what it is. But that show, I cannot remember ever seeing a show where every act got a standing ovation and deserved it.
Right. And even the producer.
Even the producer. This was Mike Miller's last hurrah. And I said, you couldn't have gotten a best last act. I mean, this was just the greatest way to send Mike out. And Mike has worked so very hard for these conventions for so many years. And it was wonderful, and he got a standing ovation for all that he's done. But the show was emceed by Sean Farquhar, who is possibly the best magic MC out there. Mm-hmm. And Sean was hot last night. He was hot. The opening act was Artem Shukin doing the FISM act.
FISM act, right.
Yeah. I believe he was followed by Eric Chen.
I believe Eric was next, which
doing his FISM winning act.
Which were the color-changing cards across the table.
Exactly,
and
the coins.
You've seen him on America's Got Talent doing that.
Absolutely. Just an astounding act. So he was followed by Norbert Frey. I've seen Norbert over the years. I haven't seen him for a while. This is the best I've ever seen him. Just what an entertainer. What an incredible entertainer.
It shows that he's continued to be working since he had won FISM.
Exactly.
He's been working every place overseas.
Exactly. And I believe I'm mistaken. I think Artem Shukin came back and did his second act before Norbert.
You may be right about that.
Yeah, and
this
is an all-new comedy act, basically with what's apparently a long strip of toilet paper attached to his shoe as he's walking through the airport, and it's with his hand luggage and the taking the paper off the shoe and the penetrations, like a la Silk Through Microphone on steroids.
Yeah.
But there's just so much great comedy and physical comedy, and just what a wonderful act, and what a wonderful personality. And then Norbert. And the show was closed by Laurent Piron, our current FISM Grand Prix champion, doing the act, the piece of paper.
Which I like when you describe that as about Pixar.
It's like watching a Pixar movie come to life. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. It's a living thing on stage. You've never seen a dancing Hank like this.
Right.
It's just absolutely incredible. And what a way to close out a gala.
They came back and that everybody was in the lobby just buzzing about that. It seems like the bar was just three deep.
Yeah, and everybody is saying best convention show ever. And
I've been to I don't know hundreds of magic conventions and seen shows. I have to say that that's the best show that I've seen.
So I given my longevity, I can say there was one convention show I saw that was better. But this is what it takes to get a better convention show. It was SAM 74 Boston. Mm-hmm. Jay Marshall was the MC.
Here we are 50 years later. So.
Exactly. Jay Marshall was the MC. The opening act was this young couple performing at their very first national convention, Denny and Lee. The other acts on the show were Johnny Thompson, Norm Nielsen, Ali Bongo, and Fred Capps. Oh, and Del Rey. That's what it takes to beat that show from last. But I have to make special mention of this. There has never been a show that has looked better than that show last night. Mm-hmm. The lighting of that show from start to finish was Broadway level, and for a reason. Mm-hmm. Because they brought in, to augment the tech team, they brought in Adam Blumenthal, who owns Tannins. Beyond that, he's a theatrical lighting designer. He does Broadway and off-Broadway shows. He knows what he's doing. And then he brought his right-hand guy, Matt Schick, who was Michael Carbonara's right-hand guy for so long touring.
And has his own company now kind of around the world doing this kind of AV work.
Exactly. So they brought those two guys in to do this, and it showed. And this should be a lesson and an example to every convention producer that pays. It pays to bring in top-flight professionals to make this stuff look as good as it can look. And boy, they spent money not only for them, but for the lights to bring in that special lighting, and it was magnificent.
And insurance, I know on that. That was another
let's not
whole
even
thing.
Get into
We're
that.
not gonna, that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah. But that was just the best looking magic show I've ever seen. It was just
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Spectacular. We've been telling people for the last year, you don't want to miss this convention. It has been phenomenal. We were expecting this when we got it exceeded expectations,
exactly.
And we were wanting it to be great, too.
Exactly. And that wasn't it. we came back to the hotel in the rain.
It poured down rain.
Oh, my gosh. So I had to go to the room and change because I was soaked. But then I know Mind to Mind did 3 more shows last night, James and Marina. And that was a highlight of the convention. Oh my gosh, that act is so incredible. But we talked about that already.
Right.
But then they had the Mark Wilson auction. Nani was
this
there.
Morning.
No, last night.
Last night? Okay.
Last night, yeah, when we came back.
Oh, that's right. All right.
Yeah, so Nani was there signing autographs, giving away autograph pictures to people. Greg conducted this auction. They auctioned off a lot of memorabilia, some of which went pretty cheap. Some of it went a little bit more, but it was nice. And half the proceeds went to the Dallas Magic Club, which was really, really awfully nice of them. I picked up a couple of things, but that was really nice. That was something you don't see. And so that was kind of the end of the night. That I will tell you though that bar was buzzing last night.
It was
packed, and
it was fun. I hung out and had a couple martinis with some people, and before I went up and put the podcast to bed.
Yeah, and I tried to go to bed early, and it didn't work.
Didn't work out.
Yeah.
Didn't work out. Well, we did get up here this morning, and the first lecture out of the chute then was with Laurent Perron.
Right, Laurent Perron and his partner Hugo van der Plas. And for those who saw the act, understand you got to have a partner. But Hugo is, an experienced theatrical director beyond everything else. Who has worked with Laurent for I think about 15 years now.
Yeah.
And they talked about the experiences of putting together shows, not just that act, which took a long time to put together. And then Laurent talked about some of his techniques, the creative process, and he had some really, really very
I like
clever
his theory
ideas.
of trying to saying more than doing just one unrelated trick after another, to try to have something that has a theme. So that's why when the curtain opens and the audience, particularly magicians, will say, okay, he's going to open with this trick, and then he's probably going to finish with that one, and I know what this one does or whatever. And having a completely different kind of, it's almost like a Broadway production,
So one of the big things he talks about is he doesn't want anything that looks like a magic prop.
That's the point. Yeah.
This is all organic. It's a stage set. I mean, there's things that belong in this world that he's creating.
Boxes and papers and desks.
Exactly. Yeah. So, great lecture.
So we're just saying to magicians, think about your act and putting something together.
Exactly. And it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to put stuff together, and a lot of experimentation, a lot of dedication.
And as we're talking right now, Sean Farquhar is lecturing, and so here's a very creative guy, and I'm sure he's got a packed house in there right now, too.
I'm betting. So I'm going to run in there and try to catch the rest of the lecture.
And I saw you bought a couple of things of Laurent.
I did. He has a water and newspaper gimmick based on a Jean Merlin idea. Jean Merlin, one of my favorite magicians who nobody knows about.
No.
And his umbrella and the lecture notes, the SpongeBob routine. Oh my God, that was so cool. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny. I'm watching this going, yep, that's what I did. Yeah, that's how I did it. I've been doing the same thing for a lot of years, even before. His is based on, he was inspired by Tom Stone.
Right.
Yeah, Benson Burner. But I had created a version of that was a handheld SpongeBob routine, not a bowl routine, based on an old Tanyo trick called Rapid Explosion. And I had taken that and adapted that and made it simpler. And his technique is exactly what I came up with 15 years ago. So I'm like, oh, good. I'm glad somebody else came up with this. So, we've got Sean. Then we've got the Magic Circle virtual tour.
It's going to be coming up in about an hour.
Yeah, and then Franz Harari's giving a talk.
Another full day, and before we get on the buses and head back over to the theater, we're going to be having Greg Wilson doing a big stage show, as well as then the
People's Choice Awards. Yeah.
The competitors who...
let's talk about last night from the banquet.
Yeah.
So they did make the announcement of the FISM team. A little controversial in that there were only 3 competitors in total chosen to go to FISM to represent FISM NA. They had the ability to have up to 12.
Yeah.
We
nailed some of them, but we didn't. But
exactly.
I thought there were going to be more.
I thought there were going to be more. So the 2 close-up competitors that will be going are Michael Blumke and Blaise Sarah. I'm real pleased that those 2 gentlemen are going.
Yeah.
And the only stage competitor that's going is Alex Ramon. I was a little disappointed in that. I thought there should have been one more. But in the People's Choice Award show today, in addition to the 3 that were chosen, Roger Ruiz and Vinny Grasso will also be on that show vying for the People's Choice Award, but they will not be going to FISM.
Gotcha. But they're just going for the People's Choice Award and the cash prize.
And to fill out the show for today.
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm looking forward to another full day, and we'll maybe touch base later today.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Good
Mark,
to see you,
thanks
Scott.
very much. So for the magic word, holy cow, that was just a great recap of what's been going on. And I wish you were here, but this is as close as some of you I know can get. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast episodes we've been reporting for the last couple of days. So we're going to start wrapping this up for the later as we go on to the day and maybe chat with a couple other people. I was going to talk with Eric Chen, and he said, not right now. He said, I lost my iPad. I set it down over here on the dealer's table, and he was looking for it. But I said, this is an honest organization. Whoever finds it, I'm sure they're going to be returning it to security, and you'll find it here eventually. So I've got my fingers crossed. Perhaps this is an unfolding story as it develops. We'll let you know if he does. Anyhow, for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Mark Souza. Scotty out. We just talked with Mark Souza, as you heard, and kind of had a recap of a lot of things that have happened over the last 24 hours or so, and we still got a lot of stuff yet to go. So as we're nearing the end, I had spoken at the front part of this convention with Dal Sanders on the first day, and it's kind of appropriate that I talk with the other host, I guess I should call him, Mark Whitehouse. And I've got Mark with me right now. Hey, Mark.
Hi, Scott. So good to see you.
You as well. And I haven't seen you hardly, which is a good thing, I guess, because you've been kind of behind the scenes keeping everything operating.
It has been, I can honestly say, this has been the busiest convention I've ever been involved with. Mm-hmm. It really has been.
So many moving parts.
Many, many. And a lot of things that we have to deal with behind the scenes people don't know about. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, we had some major ones. One day I'm going to write a book about running conventions and all the things that can happen.
That would be read by so many people, I'm sure, that I would wish they would take heed because they don't know what they're getting into.
Yeah, it could be crazy. But, hey, after last night's show, oh, my goodness, those acts were just amazing, signature acts of the best in the world. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly what we want. The North American champions that are going to Italy next year, that's where we want them, how they want to be representing North America.
Right. I think it did show people who have attended only American-hosted conventions what a glimpse of FISM really looks like.
That's right. I've been to Quebec. You've been to many. I'm so looking forward to Italy and seeing everyone and cheering North America contestants on.
I'm sorry we only had 3 people who were going forward. There were so many people had such good acts. But, I understand the point system, and that's the way it works.
Yeah, we were disappointed, too. We have 15 slots that we could send there. And but at the same time, you have to, we're not scoring against each other.
Right.
We're scoring it against the points. So
right. I know you had a lot of challenges and things, and I'm not going to ask you about specific things or whatever, but there are some things that were high points of the convention that you've heard or that were satisfactory to you?
Yeah. Wow. The banquet last night. We usually have that as an extra cost event, and we included it with registration this year. And
that's a smart idea, actually.
Yeah. And it was, we have, because of, behind the scenes, we have to have a amount of food that we sell here for the hotel to use their spaces. And
I wish they counted the beverages because the amount of alcohol has been served here.
Oh,
I think we helped them.
Well, we have one more pool party tonight that Dal and I are throwing over it. So anyway, I think the bar is going to be very happy. But the banquet was just wonderful. The food service, everything was just so. Just when you first sat down and just they had the salads out there, you think, salad. It was beautiful. It was. They're
very attentive. Also,
they are.
You weren't looking for somebody saying, "I need some more tea." They were at your elbow all the time.
Yes, they were. And then it went very smoothly. We had some announcements to make, some awards to make, the installation of officers that went very smoothly, and then Gustavo Rally. What a great performer.
I know a lot of times the banquets we have had the performers who kind of finish up at the end. And Gustavo was just phenomenal because he did such a variety of things, ending with the shadow act and everything.
Right. I love his shadow act, yeah.
I thought Eric Hogue, who is our incoming TAOM president, did a great job as a master of ceremonies of keeping things moving along, too. It's funny and witty and kept the show moving.
He's a past mayor, and so he's very accustomed to that type of environment.
Speaking, right.
Yeah.
Well, aside from the banquet, any shows or lectures or something? I mean, did you get to see much, or are you kind of behind the scenes? Or?
I've always said it's like watching a parade versus being in the parade. And when you're in the parade, you can see the marching band in front of you, you can see the float behind you. That's all you get to see. But it is much more fun to be in the parade than watching the parade. So I don't think I was able to see any lectures all the way through, but I did see Mind to Mind, and they blew me away. I think they blew everybody away. Such a great act. In 20 minutes, what they were able to do, it's just incredible. They're going to be in Italy. And
this was the first time they've actually performed in the U.S., I believe, for a convention particularly.
That's right. We were very fortunate to have them, and a lovely couple.
It was amazing that they had agreed also to do the multiple shows they did, as opposed to one full show that everybody would be talking about. In this type of an intimate setting, they were able to actually use something from everybody who was in the audience. Whenever you see the Eversons or somebody and they're in a theater, you only get a few people. But here it seems like they got around to everybody.
They did, and that's what they wanted that format. They said no more than 30 people. Because they wanted to be able to get touch everyone's mind. Yeah.
They had more room they could have had more seats, but they were pretty specific of trying to keep it limited.
Yeah, but they did eight different presentations, so it was wonderful.
Yeah, if you missed that and you've attended the convention, that was one of the things people certainly talk about, and you really missed out.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I was able to see, I got to see Chip and Mark's collector's thing, and that was really talking about Magic TV cards and Doug Henning. That was a lot of fun.
That was fun. Well, overall, you're pretty well satisfied that this has been I think it's a job beyond being well done.
You and I have been working on this for 3 years, and several others, and see this finally wrapping up. We know that we've made memories. That was our goal. We want this to be a convention for the decade, and I think we've accomplished that. I think people are going to be talking about this.
It's going to be hard to repeat, but I know next year we're not going to be having a joint convention. We're going to be going our separate ways. The TAOM will be having our usual convention, which is going to be back here in the in the Arlington area, and you're going to be in Nashville. Tell us about where people can go to register and all that.
Okay, definitely. So just a little background, though. This is my last convention I'm running for the SAM.
You're taking not even a back seat. You're just going to be a writer.
Yeah, Mike Miller and I have both decided that we need to let other blood come in and come up with some new ideas. So, but I know what some of those new ideas are. They're going to be in Nashville, and we're celebrating Steve Bargatze and
his hometown.
In his hometown, yeah. And I wonder, Anyway. You can go to magicsam.com, magicsam.com, and you can register right there. And it's very inexpensive, and it's going to be they already realize it's going to be a smaller group, more intimate, more opportunity to get front row seats.
And as people are registering now, are they getting a cheaper rate than they will later? Will it be going up later then?
I did hear that. I heard I think it was the first 50 people, and then it's going to bump up. So, you need to
register soon.
Register as soon as you hear this, yeah. Well, then TAOM, oh my goodness, I'm looking, I've been to several TAOMs, and I'm going to give you guys a plug too. I'm looking forward to coming back to Texas.
I am as well. I can tell you, as a talent chairman, I've spoken to some people who have given some verbal commitments so far, always subject to change, as you know, in any convention. But we're talking with Christopher Hart, Arthur Trace doing a one-man show, also with Jeff Williams, one of the fellows who was moving on to FISM, Blaze Sarah, is going to be coming. I'm thinking, gosh, if he wins FISM, then we can get him. It'll be a very hot act then as well. Ed Ellis is going to be coming, and we've got several more to come. So it's just going to be a fun convention there too.
Yep. I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to the future of magic. Seeing these competitions. Last night, I got to tell you about last night. So I was one of the judges of the competition, and I've been approached by some of the performers, just asking what was it that you saw that could make my act better. And so we've had that heart-to-heart talk of things that we saw that could happen. But last night at the bar, one of the acts was there. I sat down next to him, and we started a conversation with Gay Blackstone. She was sitting next to us. And Gay spent over 30 minutes talking to him about where he should have been on the stage, what the lighting should have been for his act, giving incredible advice, free advice that tens of thousands of dollars worth of professional advice coming from the best in magic.
Yeah.
And
you can only get that live at a convention like
you
this.
can where else could you have Gay Blackstone critique your and give you valuable feedback? Yes. Yeah, I thought that was really special.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, listen, Mark, thanks so very much, and congratulations. Hey, Eric, before I'm going to let you leave, and I'm going to talk with Eric Hogue now. All right. Mark, again, congratulations,
Scotty.
My friend. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, Scotty out.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
thanks.
right, Scotty out. So Eric Hogue was just walking by, and we mentioned about what a wonderful job he did as the Master of Ceremonies for last evening's activity. And also, he's going to be the chairman, I should say the president, then next year for the TAOM we're going to be having over Labor Day weekend. Enough from me. Eric, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is now.
Morning, Scott.
Have you gotten much rest?
No, sir, not much at all, but I had a good time. Had a real good time.
What is it about this convention that made it a good time for you?
Well, one, it's very unique because you think about it, you've got the Texas Association of Magicians, you've got the Society of American Magicians, of course you've got FISM, and then on top of that, we've just, the icing on the cake was celebrating the 100th birthday of the Dallas Magic Club. And to be able to share that story with the audience last night about how the club got started, how Harry Houdini was here, how they went to dinner at one of the local hotels, and all the 15 magicians that were a part of the Dallas Magic Club at that time, each had to bring a magic trick, an illusion, to show Harry Houdini. Can you imagine having to do that?
No pressure.
Yeah, because Houdini wanted to see your magic. I mean, so that was neat to be able to share that story and how, think about it, a little old magic club is still here 100 years later.
Did they bring the charters? I recall you had Harry sign the charter.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the charter's here where he signed it. And, each member on our 90th birthday, each member of the club actually got a beautiful copy of that we all have framed and, have as a keepsake for ourselves.
How nice. Well, next year is going to be the TAOM. It's going to be held over Labor Day weekend. Which are the dates? We know exactly?
It starts August the 30th. I think, is it the 30th, and goes through the 2nd?
The 1st?
The 1st,
Yeah,
you're right.
okay, that sounds right.
It's been a long weekend.
And you can get more details at TAOM.org?
Yes, sir, TAOM.org.
And we're going to be having, we've got our own website, because TAOM.org basically is the TAOM website, but
Right.
it'll link to...
It does link directly to it right now,
Yeah.
so you can register for the convention.
Yep.
This year is going to be $275. In 2025, we're going to be at the Embassy Suites Hotel, and our theme is What's Next. And part of that is a look back to what was, to what is, and then what's next. And what I want to do is some things like what got us started as TOM 80 years ago. So, as you know, it was a picnic that
Right.
started the whole thing. So guess what we're going to have? We're going to have a picnic. One of the things is I've got a real good guy that's gathering the talent together. Maybe you've heard of him, Scott Wells. I don't know if you, but one of the things that you and I have talked about is even trying to have like a focus on what would magicians in the local associations, clubs, and even in the state organization, what kind of magic would they be doing? And you know as well as I do, a lot of us work full-time at other jobs, and so the type of magic we do is parlor magic. So why not have a focus on some phenomenal parlor magic magicians, have them come in and talk to us about what they do, how they do it, why they do it, and learn from the best. And so that's what you've been out there trying to attract to our convention.
Right. By the way, I just spoke with Blaze Serra last evening because he's going to be a competitor. He was going to be going on to FISM, and I thought, well, let's lock him up. So Absolutely. I talked with him. He's anxious to come next year, too.
Great. That's phenomenal. See, that's why you're the talent guy. You know everybody.
Well, thank you very much. And like you, I even know Eric Hogue, who is who you made David Copperfield an honorary citizen.
He is the 50,000th citizen of Wiley, Texas. I got to tell you, the first time I met David Copperfield, you imagine everybody is going to talk to David Copperfield about magic.
Yeah.
And I had worked with the local club here in Dow Sanders in getting magic as listed in the congressional record. And so they got me tickets to see a show and to meet him afterwards. And so I'm going to meet him, and what do you say to David Copperfield, you know? So I had a lapel pin on that I would give to citizens, and so I took it off, handed it to him, and said, Chris Kenner was like, this is the mayor I was telling you about. And I said, yes, sir, my name is Eric Hogue. I'm the mayor of the great city of Wiley, Texas, 39 square miles of heaven on earth. And if you will take this lapel pin and you'll wear it and you see someone else wearing it, you'll know that I gave it to him. David's looking at it and he's like, what? I said, what? My name is Eric Hogue. I'm the mayor of the great city of Wiley, Texas, 39 square miles of heaven on earth. And I got done saying it all over again. He's like, are you for real? And I said, yes, I really am Eric Hogue, the mayor of the great city. And he's like, shut up. And, you know, I mean, how many people can say David Copperfield told him to shut up? So I'm one of those few people. And it just was how, and we got started visiting. We became friends, and we were getting close to having 50,000 citizens, and I got to choose who that 50,000 citizen was, and I wanted to be my friend David Copperfield.
How cool was that?
So,
that's a great story.
Call him our own.
And you were the one also who hosted the chat we had with David Copperfield via Zoom
yes,
a couple days ago.
I did.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was one of those, we wanted something to start off the convention good. Why not have the greatest of all time pop in for a few minutes and talk about what he thinks about magic, where it's going, where it's been, why he started his museum, what that's all about.
Right. Big questions you asked.
You know, just about what the future of magic is. So.
Well, you're right, and he is not just the past, but he's also the future. I mean, he's always looking forward to something else. It was a very interesting conversation over there.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that if you ever talk to him, you know that he's always looking forward. What's the next thing? And I don't think there'll ever be a time that he'll not be wanting to do magic. He loves it. I mean, it's in his DNA. So.
Well, Eric, it looks like the lecture is over with Sean Farquhar's. People are starting to file out over there. I was listening to a little bit of that a while ago, and he had a lot of really good information he was passing on. Did you hear any of the lecture as well?
Yeah, and you know, that's been one thing about this convention that I hope people take away is the type of talent that we've gotten in here from all over the world, literally, and how this isn't just your typical TAM or SAM convention, that it is a unique convention, Magic Texas of all things, but it's really been something special, and it's only going to happen once, and we all get to be a part of it.
And it has been great. Thank you for being a part of it, and thank you for sharing it, and I look forward to working with you over the next year and getting into having TOM back here in Dallas.
Absolutely, and you'll learn not to always answer your phone or you get volunteered.
That's right. So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Eric Hogue. Scotty out. We talked about how great the show was last evening and also the many lectures that we've had that have been fantastic. And I'm here with one of the people who was in the show last night and also was one of the lecturers, and perhaps somebody you've seen on America's Got Talent or a lot of other places around. From Houston, Texas, here he is, Eric Chen. Hey, Eric, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. This is my first ever magic convention in the States, so I'm actually really excited. And I got to see the close-up competition and the other performers. Mm-hmm. So I had an amazing time over here.
Yeah.
Just very jet-lagged.
Because you live in Taiwan, or where are you?
I'm based in Beijing right now.
Beijing, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it was like a 23-hour flight here, and then jet lag for like a whole week. And I sleep like 4 hours or 2 to 4 hours every day. So I'm just like dead right now.
And you're going to be heading back when?
On Wednesday.
On Wednesday, okay. So you kind of go back then again to getting back in.
So when I go back, I need to readjust my time zone again. So it's annoying.
Well, I said you're from Houston because you actually were in Houston for in your young life, and then moved back to. Tell me a quick story there.
Right. So I was born in Taipei, and my entire family moved to Houston, Texas when I was 3 years old. I was there until 13. Went to Shanghai for high school, Hawaii for college, back to Taipei for military, and now I'm based in Beijing.
Okay.
So just traveling everywhere.
You ought to just say you're a citizen of the world.
Yeah, kind of. But mostly just China and America.
So this has been a great opportunity for you to show your magic to magicians here at this convention. And we've had just a lot of people, 600 people or so, I believe, at the convention over here. Now, are there other conventions like Blackpool or others that you have attended in other countries?
Oh, yeah. I've been to Blackpool twice. I've been to a lot of conventions in Europe, but just never in the States. You know.
Why is that? How have you avoided that? I mean, I would think that people would want to have you come over,
I think I did get invited like in 2019, but then I was so busy with like Got Talent and just I was traveling all over the places.
Right.
So I had to decline most of them, and the time didn't work out. And then after 2020, it was COVID.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to travel. I was invited to Magic Live, but I couldn't make it. So now that the whole pandemic is gone, I'm able to travel again, so it's nice.
So with AGT, did you start touring with them? I mean, you finished what? Where were you? You finished at what level? Or you were a semi-finalist?
Semi-finalist.
And I know they have also people who are semi-finalists that they like send on tour, or they work in Vegas. Were you working with them at all?
No, I think after AGT, I was invited to tour with The Illusionist on Broadway.
Yeah.
So I did that for 3 months.
Even better deal.
It was very nice. It was a very fun experience. So I thought I was finally reaching like my peak.
Yeah.
But then right after Broadway, pandemic. And then I had to start from zero again because I lost all my...
momentum.
Yeah. So it sucks.
So what have you been trying to do to reestablish your brand and your name?
So I have been doing a lot of TV shows in Asia. Like recently, I've done a show in Korea. It's called The Magic Star. It's basically a bunch of magicians together, and we're competing. And that was really fun. So now I'm actually traveling to Korea quite often because I'm actually popular or famous there now.
Yeah, sure. I understand.
So yeah, so it's been amazing, and I'm doing a solo show there in October.
Is it like a 90-minute show, or how long is it?
Yeah, it's like a 90-minute show.
So is it all close-up, or are you doing like stand-up, parlor, or stage, or?
Mostly like close-up and parlor. I do want to bring like my stage stuff from China to Korea, but then the shipping and everything it's way too much. So I might just borrow some illusions from people there in Korea, and hopefully it'll work out.
I was thinking about Shin Lim's show, for an example. When I've seen him in Las Vegas, and when he was working with Colin Cloud, they had a nice... dual act there together. They were, and now, of course, that Colin has gone off and doing his own show then as well. And so he has Shin's having his wife work and some other things that are happening. Right. But he's doing mostly close-up then as well, and he's made a full show of that.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's something you're kind of looking to do, again, doing mostly close-up and having cameras and big screens and all that kind of stuff. So.
I mean, to me, I actually don't like to do too much close-up. Like, if it's like a big stage, like for 300 people, I don't want the whole show to be close-up because everyone will just be staring at the screen.
They may as well be watching you on TV.
Exactly.
Back home.
Yeah, so I prefer to do parlor or like interactive magic and with stage illusions sometimes. Mm-hmm. But then I would have a few close-up moments like my ribbon act or my just some random close-up acts.
When you came up with the ribbon act, by the way, now that we're talking about that, how did you develop that? Was that something that you were thinking, okay, well, I can change from red to blue, and then we go across the table, hey, wait a minute, this would be interesting, and then did it just kind of evolve, or?
Right, so I actually created the ribbon act in 2016, but it was a completely different act. Like, it was interactive. So
But did you create it to be a competition act?
Yes. So I competed once before FISM, and that act was just so bad. Like, I really hated the ribbon act before because I would invite someone to come up on stage, I would do jokes, we would just interact, and then I would do like pure sleight of hand only.
Yeah.
And it sucked. Like, it was so bad because I hated it. One reason is because it was so predictive. Like, everyone knew what was going to happen next because whatever I put in the frame, I'll just make it appear.
Right.
So I hated that act, and I'd never want to do it again. But then in 2017, 1 month before FISM Asia, I had to think of a new act, but then I didn't really have time. So then I'm like, okay, I'll bring back the ribbon act, but I'm going to delete everything. I only kept the ribbon and the frames. So then I started thinking, like, what can I do with this? Like, what's a good story to tell with these objects. And then, so first thing is that I made it into a silent act with music, and I wrote down a story of what I want the ideas to be.
Sure.
So I wrote down the entire story first, and then I started piecing in magic that belongs in the story, that needs to appear in the story, and that's how I created the ribbon act. Mm-hmm. So when you watch the act, you'll notice like the entire story is very complete. So I know a lot of magicians, they'll come up with a trick, and then they force the story into that trick. And sometimes people will notice that it's forced.
Yeah, forced.
Yes.
This seems more organic.
Yes. So I focus a lot on the story, and my magic has to fit that story, or else I'm not going to use it.
And also, I think is amazing is how that story is something that can relate without speech, that can translate visually to any language anywhere in the world.
So when I created that act, although it is for competition, I knew I wanted to do this act on TV for laymen. So I want to make sure my act is good for competition and good for laymen. And I didn't want there to be any language barrier. I want to make sure that everyone in the world can see my magic and understand it and be wowed by it.
Right.
Yeah.
Moreover, it's not just a competition act for magicians to appreciate. This is something definitely for the public.
Yes,
and whether your public are magicians or not, you're going to be wowed by it. It's amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've seen a lot of magicians, when they create their act, it's only for magicians. So you can only see it at magic conventions and nowhere else. So I'm glad that I chose what I did.
Yeah. Good choices, good decisions all the way through. And your lecture was really good, too. It's one of those things that it's like, as you were showing, well, no, it's very easy. I mean, and when you break it down piece by piece, yes. But, I mean, as far as some of the things, the movement of the thumbs and everything else that you've got, obviously you said, like, one guy, it took him 3 days, another guy 3 years. You know, it depends upon the person, you know.
That is true. I mean, I say it's easy as a joke, but to me it is very easy. But I do just say it to lighten the mood, because I know it is hard and it will take a very long time. But if you really practice for at least 2 weeks straight, you will get it down no problem.
Did you put this lecture together for this convention, or have you done that lecture at other conventions as well?
No, like I said, this is my first magic convention, so I just used my older material, because no one's have seen this yet in the States.
It's all new here.
Yes, so I want people to start from my old stuff first and then the newer stuff later, because the newer stuff is harder than the older stuff. So yeah.
Well, also I know that Katie Vine, who has been with Texas Monthly, was working on an article with you, so she's been kind of shadowing you and talking to that as well. So I know I'm looking forward to that article coming out sometime next year as well. So.
Yeah, me too. We did a lot of talking. Like 2 days ago, we talked for like 5 hours straight.
Oh my gosh!
So I was so tired.
I don't think I even talked that long.
It was really tiring, but it was a lot of fun. Like the question she asked was, although mostly about magic, but she did ask stuff outside of magic as well. So I thought that was it's much more entertaining.
Yeah, because it's more personal to you and your family and whatnot. Yeah. I'm anxious to read the article, because I know there's a lot to be edited for that. So it's going to be
yes.
5 hours. Yeah, it's amazing. Eric, thanks very much. I'm not going to take any more of your time. I appreciate it, and I've enjoyed your act. I know everybody else did. I'm sure you've been getting nothing but just lots of great comments and pictures and selfies and everybody. You said you were, famous overseas, but I think you have become an overnight success for those people who have not seen you here before. As you said, it's your first convention, so you have a pleasing personality, and so and very caring and loving as far as what you've been giving to on the lectures and the shows. You can see that your soul is exposed, and we see that and appreciate that, and you've done just a wonderful job, and I want to thank you very much for that.
Thank you. And there is actually one more surprise. Next month for FISM Asia, I'm competing again.
Well, so you might be back. I'll see you in Turin next year.
So next year, I will have a new FISM act.
Okay.
And in my opinion, I haven't started yet, so I have 3 weeks to create the act.
3 weeks to create an act that's going to be FISM ready.
Yes. I mean,
you can do it, though. You can do it.
My ribbon act took 1 month.
Wow.
I made the entire act in 1 month, so I feel like I can do it. Have you seen my chocolate act, my chocolate Rubik's Cube?
I have not.
Okay. I won Asia's Got Talent with that act, and that act took 3 days. So I create things very fast.
Do you just come up with this like in a dream, or you kind of play with something and it comes to you, or how does that work?
Funny thing is that ribbon act, actually, a lot of the effects came from my dream. And I'm not even kidding. So I dream a lot. But my new act...
Do you dream in color or black and white?
In color, I think. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. So next month for FISM Asia, it's going to be a new act. And I think, in my opinion, it's better than the ribbon act. But I don't know yet because I haven't created yet. But in my head, it's better.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm very excited for it.
Well, good luck. I'm sure it's going to kill us. We're all going to be saying, "Oh, that's even better than the ribbon act." But yeah, hope to see you then in tour and then next year.
Awesome. I hope to see you guys soon too.
All right. So with the Magic Word Podcast, that was Eric Chen. This is Scotty out. So we just finished the afternoon session or show, which was People's Choice Award. And I'm here with Alan Howard. Hey, Alan, how are you?
Hi there. I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic, and have really had a great convention. And who was it that... let's talk about some of the winners. The People's Choice Award went to...
People's Choice went to...
It was a second place and first place. Second place was Alex Ramon.
Second place was Alex Ramon. First place was Michael
Blumenke,
whose name I can't pronounce. I'm glad you said it and not me.
Blumenke. And
whoever he is, he was great.
And then, because there's a $1,500 prize with the... first one, $750
for first, $750 for second.
There we go. And then we had a first place award for stage and for close-up for FISM, and those winners were?
For close-up, it was Blaze Sarah, and for stage, it was Alex Ramon.
There we go. And it was amazing. Great show, a lot of fun. So Alan just asked me an interesting question. What was a highlight for you? Everybody unilaterally says last night's show. It was off the hook, crazy, great. And so that's an obvious answer. You agree with that, surely?
Oh, yeah. The FISM Champion show was terrific. You see 5 acts, and they got 6 standing ovations. So how can you go wrong with that?
Yeah, you include the one for the producer.
Yeah, sure.
And but I really enjoyed the show that was the Lance Burton replacement show, which was some guys from Dallas, just kind of the local group that put on the Magic in the Living Room show, and it was a lot of fun. Something that was unexpected, perhaps. Maybe that's why it was so good.
Yeah, I think it was unexpected by a lot of the performers, too. Yeah. But they came together the last minute, and they did a terrific job. It was a fun thing to see.
But they also, the night before, or last night's show, which would have been, the opening gala? I'm trying to think. The one that had, started off with Adrian Kill, who was the juggler, as you appreciate jugglers, the mixed, the flare guy.
Right. Yeah, he was my favorite of the night. Not because of that, but he was still my favorite.
There were so many different magic moments that he had.
There was a lot of good stuff.
Yep, that's true. I enjoyed him. I saw him in Blackpool earlier this year, and I'm so glad that Mike Miller got him for this. So what about you? What were some highlights, or what did you see here?
Well, I think we've already covered it.
You agree with me?
Yeah, the FISM Champion show is still the highlight. Mike Miller says he's retiring from doing this after this year, and this is certainly the one to walk out on. This is going to be a really tough one for him to top, for anyone to top. It was just great.
Yep, that's true. Hotel has been phenomenal. It's a long walk wherever we're going to be going.
The hotel has been a good amount of exercise.
Yeah, but I will say that there has been some attention to detail that all the staff has been really good.
Yeah, they've been very nice. I've no complaints about that.
Yep, food was good last evening, and I say that because during the dinner last evening, they were attentive. I mean, I didn't have to ask for more coffee or tea or whatever. They were at your elbow. I mean, they had plenty of servant staff,
Yeah, it was your typical banquet chicken, but that's what you expect.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with that. And then with Gustavo
Raleigh?
Raleigh did the show then last night, including Shadow Act, and I thought that was well put together.
Yeah, that was fun. Mm-hmm. That's the first time I'd seen him other than doing his lecture the other day, which I wish I'd seen the show before the lecture, but it worked out either way.
Yeah, because he had a few things he had explained, so that's true. So what's new? What's coming up with the MUM?
That's a good question. I'll have to find out. One of those things I should know, but I've been busy hanging out, having fun at the convention.
So have you been talking to people for some interviews to put in magazine?
There are a few things coming up, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's always nice for the readers to pick up the magazine and find a surprise, so I'm not going to tip it
be
now.
A surprise here. No, I understand that. But there'll be a lot of photos. Do you have other people who are writing articles for you? I remember, like for the Linking Ring, that they've asked me and whoever, a few people will have like some contributing editors who are attending the convention to write up little things. Have you got people kind of writing for you too?
Oh, sure. And let me know what you want to write. That'd be great.
I'm sorry, I haven't said that.
Yeah, I'm always open to having people write. If anyone is interested, let me know. There are a few people I've talked to about writing something up here. I think mostly we'll be doing photos from this because we've got several photographers shooting things, and I haven't seen them yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing that and putting it together in the next week and a half.
Well, I'm so glad also that you twisted the arm of Trixie Bond to put that article in that was in this month's issue about the Texas magicians who have passed and the rich history we have.
Oh, yeah, I saw her do that talk at the Magic Collectors Expo a few years ago and went up to her right after that saying, "Do you think this would be an article?" And thankfully she agreed to that.
Yeah, it was great. Glad that you put that in. Anyhow, overall, this has just been a wonderful convention, a lot of fun, and we've discussed some of the highlights. I mean, really, the lowlights are not from anything having to do with the convention at all. It's just a couple of glitches here and there, maybe on the buses or weather or a few things that were minor, I think, in relation to everything else.
Yeah, well, there's always glitches, but
Wherever.
I think pretty much everybody I talk to, the good stuff outweighs the less good stuff.
Yep, I would agree. It's been a lot of fun. Well, your next convention is going to be when and where? You personally, where are you going?
Boy, that's a good question. I'm not really sure. The next one for certain will probably be Magic Live in August of 2025.
Okay.
And before that, I'll wait and see what comes up.
You're not going to Blackpool or overseas to anything?
Not on an editor's salary, no.
Okay. It keeps you pretty busy, I would say, throughout the...
I'm busy enough, yes.
The month and throughout the year and everything, too. This what number of year for you? Number 6 or how long?
I'm just wrapping up number 7 for me.
Okay. It had been a short time.
Yeah, just flying by.
Yeah. You still got another 60 years ahead of you.
Oh, I hope so.
I hope so, too. Alan, thanks very much. Thanks for helping to recap over there. I think it's been just a great convention, a lot of fun, good show, and well attended. I think everybody's had a great time. Right now, we're getting ready to go to a splash party.
That's right. Change head down to the pool.
And so, yeah, I'm going to go put on my swimsuit and head down there. And so I'm going to leave you then, listeners, kind listeners, for tuning in as we head off into the sunset in Texas. So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Alan Howard. And
thank you.
Goodbye, y'all. This is Scotty out. I don't know what to say there.